Let's be honest, there's no such thing as the perfect offshore sailboat. Every design is a compromise. Some are faster, some are safer, some are more comfortable at anchor but miserable underway. And no matter what you choose, the ocean is always going to find your boat's weak spots eventually. But that doesn't mean you can't prepare smart. Over the years, certain features have proven themselves time and again out on the open sea. Features that don't just make a boat more comfortable but actually make it safer and more capable when the weather turns foul or the miles start piling up. This isn't about chasing the biggest or most expensive boat, it's about knowing what matters when you're offshore. Really offshore, where it's just you, the boat, and the ocean. If a storm hits or gear fails, or you're rolling through your third day without sleep, these are the features that keep you going. In this video, we'll go through 10 features every serious offshore sailboat should have. These aren't based on theory or sales brochures. They're hard-earned lessons from people who've crossed oceans and lived to talk about it. Let's get started. When you're offshore, your hull is everything. It's your protection, your foundation, and the only thing between you and the open ocean. A strong, stiff hull isn't about aesthetics or fancy materials. It's about survival. Offshore conditions can be brutal. Long period swells, slamming into waves, and constant motion over days or weeks all take a toll. If the hull flexes too much, everything suffers. Rigging, bulkheads, even the integrity of the boat itself. A stiff hull resists twisting and pounding, which means less stress on the rig and more predictable handling. It also means fewer leaks, less creaking, and better longevity. Materials like solid fiberglass, aluminum, and strong composite layups are preferred by offshore sailors for exactly this reason. Lightweight production hulls with minimal reinforcement might be fine for weekend cruising, but offshore, they can start to feel fragile real quick. Look for boats with a proven track record, ones that have already crossed oceans. Check for substantial stringers, bonded bulkheads, and solid glass below the waterline. A well-built hull doesn't just handle abuse, it gives you the confidence to keep going when conditions get rough. Offshore sailing doesn't forgive weak construction, and your hull is the last place to compromise. The keel, rudder, and chain plates are the load-bearing heart of your boat's sailing ability. Offshore, they take on extreme forces, pounding seas, sustained pressure, and sharp, unpredictable loads. If any one of these fails, you're no longer just sailing, you're in survival mode. The keel must be solidly attached and structurally integrated into the hull. That means proper bolts, backing plates, and reinforcement that can take a hit and keep going. Groundings do happen offshore, and a lightly mounted keel can mean disaster. Boats with encapsulated keels or well-engineered bolt-on systems with substantial internal support offer peace of mind when the sea gets rough. The rudder also needs to be tough, ideally with a skeg for protection, or at the very least a solid construction with strong bearings and shaft support. Losing steering offshore is more common than most think, and it's one of the most dangerous failures you can face. Chain plates, where the rigging meets the hull, need to be overbuilt, not just adequate. Look for through-bolted plates with reinforced backing and easy inspection access. Hidden corrosion here is a silent killer. These aren't luxury features, they're your boat's lifeline offshore. Reinforcement in these areas can be the difference between a story and a rescue call. Offshore, your boat needs to stay upright, or at the very least be able to recover when it doesn't. High stability and knockdown recovery aren't about resisting every gust or rogue wave, they're about giving the boat the ability to come back up if it's laid flat. Stability starts with the design. Beam, hull shape, ballast ratio, and keel type all factor in. A well-designed offshore boat carries its ballast low and has a righting moment strong enough to recover from extreme heel angles. This means that even if you're knocked down by a breaking wave or sudden squall, the boat naturally returns to upright without capsizing or staying inverted. The angle of vanishing stability, AVS, is one metric sailors look at. It tells you how far the boat can heel before it stops trying to right itself. Offshore boats should have an AVS of at least 120 degrees, with many blue water boats reaching higher numbers. Practical features help too. Reefing systems that allow early sail reduction, good weight distribution, and sensible sail plans all contribute to keeping the boat stable in changing conditions. At sea, it's not about avoiding every knockdown, it's about sailing a boat that's designed to survive one. Offshore sailing isn't a weekend trip, it's days or weeks away from any dock, store, or fuel station. That means your boat needs to be self-sufficient, and that starts with having space to carry everything: water, fuel, food, spares, tools, sails, and safety gear. Freshwater tanks need to be generous, a minimum minimum of 200 liters for 2 people is a baseline, but more is always better, especially if you don't have a water maker. Fuel tanks should be large enough not only for motoring and comms, but also for powering systems like refrigeration, radar, and autopilot over extended periods. Dry storage matters just as much. Deep lockers, watertight compartments, and well-secured cabinets keep your supplies dry, organized, and easy to reach even when the boat is heeled. Don't underestimate how much food, hardware, and personal gear you'll need over a month-long passage, or how important it is that it all stays put in a rolling sea. Weight distribution is key. A good offshore boat balances storage throughout the hull. No overloaded stern lockers or bow-heavy setups that ruin handling. And spares? You'll want backups of everything critical, from alternators to autopilot parts. Storage isn't glamorous, but offshore, it's survival. You can't always avoid trouble at sea, but you can be ready for it. Emergency and safety gear isn't optional offshore. It's part of the design, and it needs to be easily accessible, well secured, and properly installed. Start with the basics: a properly mounted life raft, grab bag, ditch kit, and personal flotation devices for every crew member. These aren't just checkboxes, they're lifelines when things go sideways. Your life raft should be stowed in a place you can reach even if the boat is flooding or upside down. An EPIRB, emergency position indicating radio beacon, is non-negotiable. It connects you to search and rescue instantly. PLDS, personal locator beacons, AIS, man overboard devices, and satellite messengers add extra layers of safety and redundancy. Fire extinguishers, bilge pumps, manual and electric, storm sails, emergency tiller, and proper jack lines all need to be part of the setup. These aren't things you add after buying the boat. They're essential features that should be built into your offshore plan from day one. Lastly, every piece of gear is only as good as its maintenance. Safety gear needs to be checked, serviced, and ready to go. When something fails offshore, it's usually the thing you forgot to inspect. Offshore, the inside of your boat is just as important as what's on deck. When the sea gets rough, everything inside starts moving. Gear, people, even your footing. That's why a secure, functional interior layout is a core offshore feature. First, you need safe movement below deck. Handholds should be everywhere, overhead, along bulkheads near the galley and companionway. You don't want to cross the saloon like it's an ice rink when the boat's rolling in heavy seas. The galley should be compact and secure, with bracing on both sides so you can cook underway without getting tossed. Deep sinks, fiddled counters, and gimbaled stoves aren't luxuries, they're necessities. Berths should be set up with lee cloths to keep crew from falling out while sleeping on a heel. Storage needs to stay shut. Lockers should latch tight, floorboards shouldn't fly up, and tools or heavy gear must be properly secured. In heavy weather, even a coffee mug can become a missile. An interior designed for offshore sailing keeps crew safe, gear organized, and fatigue to a minimum. Comfort is nice, but offshore, function comes first. A well-thought-out interior turns chaos into control. Speed might win races, but offshore, it's seaworthiness that keeps you safe. A boat designed for blue water isn't focused on light wind performance or regatta podiums. It's built to stay afloat, stay upright, and stay in control when the wind howls and the waves stack up. Seaworthiness comes from hull shape, ballast distribution, rig design, and deck layout. Full or moderate displacement hulls tend to handle rough water more gently, sacrificing top speed for a more stable, forgiving motion. That matters a lot on day 5 of a passage when fatigue sets in and weather gets unpredictable. Offshore boats usually favor conservative rigs, cutter setups, manageable sail areas, and reefing systems you can handle solo or short-handed. A lower sail plan and smaller mainsail might not win a regatta, but they'll help you sleep at night when the wind's building. Design also means durability. Offshore boats are overbuilt in the best way. Thicker layups, stronger bulkheads, heavier rigging. All of that adds weight, yes, but it adds confidence too. In short, a seaworthy design puts survival and comfort in bad conditions ahead of performance in ideal ones. Offshore sailing is about endurance, not excitement. And when conditions turn, seaworthiness isn't a nice feature, it's everything. Offshore, the more complicated your systems are, the more likely something breaks when you really don't want it to. That's why simple, maintainable gear isn't just convenient, it's a core part of offshore readiness. Let's talk systems. Pumps, wiring, plumbing, and electronics should be accessible and easy to inspect. If you need to remove 3 panels just to tighten a hose clamp, that's not offshore ready. Keep it simple. Fewer moving parts, fewer failure points, and spares for anything critical. The same goes for rigging. A cutter rig with manageable head sails, slab reefing on the main, and manual winches might feel old school, but it works when it matters. Complex furlers, powered winches, or in-mast furling systems can be great until they fail offshore with no easy fix. Your setup should allow you to sail short-handed, reef yearly, and adjust things without leaving the cockpit if possible. Being able to rig a preventer or drop a storm sail without gymnastics is a huge advantage when the weather turns. It's not about being primitive, it's about being practical. Offshore boats aren't the place for overly fancy gear that you can't repair yourself. When the sea gets rough, simple is smart. In offshore sailing, the rule is simple. If it's critical, have a backup. Redundancy isn't a luxury, it's a survival strategy. When you're hundreds of miles from land, there's no mechanic, no chandlery, and no quick fix. If something breaks, you either fix it yourself or you do without. And some systems you simply can't do without. Start with navigation. You need at least 2, ideally 3, ways to know where you are. A chart plotter, a handheld GPS, and paper charts. Same for communication. A VHF, a handheld backup, and ideally something with satellite capability. Your steering system needs redundancy too. That means a well-maintained emergency tiller, and if possible, a wind vane or backup autopilot. Steering failure is one of the most common offshore disasters. Don't leave it to chance. 2 bilge pumps minimum with 1 manual. Extra fuel and water tanks. Duplicate tools and spares for the engine, rigging, plumbing, and electronics. Even basic things like headlamps, knives, flashlights should have backups. The ocean doesn't care what failed, it only cares that you didn't prepare for it. Offshore-ready boats are built and equipped with that truth in mind. If something's mission critical, you need more than one. The cockpit is where you'll spend a huge chunk of your time underway. And offshore, it needs to be more than just comfortable, it needs to be safe. A good offshore cockpit is small enough to limit the amount of water it can hold, deep enough to give protection, and designed to shed water fast if it takes a wave. High coamings and strong dodgers protect the crew from wind and spray. Tethers and jacklines should run through the cockpit for easy clipping in. Everything you need, winches, lines, helm, autopilot, should be within reach so you're not scrambling around when the boat's bouncing in heavy seas. Drainage is critical. The cockpit should have large, clear drains, scuppers, that can empty quickly if a wave breaks over the stern. Some blue water sailors even avoid open transoms for this reason, preferring designs that keep green water out, not let it through. Storage lockers must be watertight and latched securely. You don't want to lose gear, or worse, flood the interior because of a sloppy cockpit design. This is your command center offshore. It needs to be safe, secure, and built for serious weather. A well-protected cockpit isn't just more comfortable, it's a lifeline. Offshore sailing isn't about perfection, it's about preparation. The sea doesn't play favorites, and once you leave the protection of the coast, your boat has to carry the full weight of the journey. These 10 features aren't just nice ideas, they're the backbone of a true blue water cruiser. They keep the boat strong, the systems running, and the crew safe when things get tough. It doesn't matter if you're crossing an ocean or just stretching your legs 100 miles offshore. These features give you the confidence to go farther, stay out longer, and handle whatever weather comes your way. And while every sailor has their own preferences, the boats that last out there, the ones that take care of their crews and bring them home, tend to have these traits in common. So if you're planning your first passage, outfitting your boat, or still dreaming at the dock, use this list as a gut check. Offshore sailing rewards preparation, and your boat should be built for more than just fair winds and sunny days. Thanks for watching. Fair winds and stay safe out there.